The Omnitrix does not just store aliens, it stores civilizations. Every DNA sample in the device belongs to a species with a homeworld, a culture, a biology, and a history that the 10-second transformation never has time to explain. Here is every major alien species explained. Galvan. They are 5 inches tall, and they built the most powerful device in the universe. The Galvan are an amphibious species from the planet Galvan Prime, whose average height would not clear a human kneecap and whose average intelligence exceeds every other species in the Omnitrix's database by a margin that the franchise has never bothered to quantify because the numbers would be meaningless. Azimuth, the Galvan who created the Omnitrix, is considered the smartest being in 5 galaxies. He is not an outlier. He is the best of a species whose baseline cognitive output would qualify as superhuman genius by Earth standards. The Galvan homeworld reflects this. Galvan Prime is not a natural planet. It is a reconstructed world, a planet that was destroyed and rebuilt by the Galvan using their own technology, a feat so astronomically improbable that no other species in the franchise has even attempted it. The original Galvan Prime's moon, Galvan B, is home to the Mechamorphs, a species of living technology that the Galvan accidentally created during an experiment, making the Galvan the franchise's only species that has unintentionally produced another sentient race as a byproduct of their research. Gray matter, Ben's Galvan transformation, reduces him to 5 inches of enhanced cognition in a body that can be eaten by a house cat, and the vulnerability is the point. The Galvan did not evolve strength. They did not evolve speed. They did not evolve armor or claws or venom or any physical attribute that would help them survive on a planet full of predators. They evolved intelligence so overwhelming that it replaced every other survival mechanism because a species smart enough to build a device that contains the DNA of every other species does not need its own body to be impressive. The Galvan are the franchise's proof that the smallest body in the room can contain the most dangerous mind. Mechamorph. They are alive because the Galvan made a mistake, and the mistake is more impressive than most species' intentional creations. Galvanic Mechamorphs are a species of living technology from Galvan B, the moon of Galvan Prime, created when a Galvan experiment intended to make the moon habitable, accidentally produced a self-replicating techno-organic compound that develops sentience. The Mechamorphs are not robots. They are not programs. They are biological technology, organisms whose cells are circuitry, and whose bodies are simultaneously organic tissue and functional machinery. Upgrade, Ben's Mechamorph transformation, can merge with any piece of technology and enhance it, rewriting its programming, upgrading its hardware, and optimizing its functionality in real time. The merging is not remote access. It is physical integration. The Mechamorph's body flowing over and into the machine until the distinction between organism and device dissolves. A Mechamorph-enhanced go-kart becomes a jet. A Mechamorph-enhanced laptop becomes a supercomputer. A Mechamorph-enhanced weapon becomes something the weapon's designer never imagined because the Mechamorph's intuitive understanding of technology exceeds the designer's deliberate engineering. The Mechamorphs' accidental origin is the franchise's most fascinating piece of species lore because it means the Galvan, the smartest species in the universe, created sentient life without trying. If you are enjoying this so far, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment with the Ben 10 species you think has the most interesting culture. Let us get back into it. Pyronite. They live on a sun, not near a sun. On a sun. Pyros, the homeworld of the Pyronite species, is a star, and the Pyronites are beings of living magma whose biology is adapted to an environment where the ambient temperature is measured in millions of degrees and the ground beneath their feet is thermonuclear plasma. Heat Blast, Ben's Pyronite transformation, is the franchise's most visually iconic alien, a humanoid figure composed of dark volcanic rock with fire burning through the cracks in his surface, and his powers, pyrokinesis, thermal immunity, and the ability to generate focused streams of fire from his hands, are the baseline abilities of a species whose evolutionary environment makes Earth's hottest desert feel like a walk-in freezer. Pyronites can fly by superheating the air beneath them and riding the thermal updraft. They can absorb fire directed at them, converting it into additional fuel for their own output. And their bodies are resistant to physical damage because the magma that composes their tissue reforms after impact the way lava fills a crack, flowing back into position rather than shattering. The Pyrronite biology raises a question the franchise has never fully explored. How does a civilization develop on a star? There is no solid ground. There are no stable structures. There are no seasons, no weather patterns, no day-night cycle. The entire concept of architecture, agriculture, and infrastructure as humans understand it is meaningless on a surface made of burning gas. The Pyronites evolved in an environment that should not support complex life, and the franchise's refusal to explain how they did it is either a deliberate mystery or an acknowledgement that some world-building questions do not have answers that would survive scrutiny. Petrosapien. Their bodies are their weapons, their armor, and their architecture simultaneously. Petrosapiens are a species of silicon-based life forms from the planet Petropia, beings whose biology is composed entirely of an extraordinarily durable alien crystal that serves as skeleton, skin, muscle, and organ tissue in a unified mineral structure. Diamond Head, Ben's Petrosapien transformation, can generate crystal constructs from any part of his body, firing shards as projectiles, growing walls as barriers, and reshaping his limbs into blades, shields, or any geometric form the situation requires. He regenerates by regrowing crystal tissue over damaged areas, a process that is functionally instantaneous and that makes conventional physical attacks useless because cutting a Petrosapien is like cutting a diamond that grows back. Petropia was destroyed during the franchise's timeline, shattered by Vilgax using a weapon that reduced the planet to an asteroid field, and the destruction raises the franchise's most unsettling species. Level question: what happens to a Petrosapien who survives the destruction of their homeworld? The species is composed of mineral. The planet is composed of mineral. Are the Petrosapiens made of the same substance as Petropia itself? And if so, does the planet's destruction represent the loss of a civilization or the shattering of a body? The franchise eventually restored Petropia through Diamond Head's unique connection to the planet's crystal matrix, using a Petrosapien artifact to reassemble the shattered world. Tetramand. They are the franchise's most fully developed warrior civilization, and their social structure is built on the premise that strength is the only currency that matters. Tetramands are a species of four-armed humanoid beings from the planet Koros, and their culture is organized around combat in a way that pervades every aspect of their society. Marriage is determined through physical contests. Political authority is established through dominance displays. Social rank is earned and maintained through the demonstration of superior strength, and the loss of that strength through age, injury, or defeat results in immediate demotion. Koros itself is a harsh, arid world whose environmental conditions selected for the Tetramand body type over millions of years of evolution: a 12-foot humanoid with 4 arms, enhanced musculature, and a skeletal density that allows them to absorb impacts that would kill most other species. Female Tetramands are significantly stronger than males, a biological detail that the franchise reveals when Princess Luma, Redwin, effortlessly overpowers Ben's 4 arms during a duel whose stakes include a marriage contract. The Tetramand gender dynamic inverts the assumption that a species of warriors would default to male dominance, and the inversion is played without commentary because the franchise treats it as a biological fact rather than a social argument. Tetramands are strong. Tetramand women are stronger. The species does not consider this unusual because the species has never known it to be otherwise. Kineceleran. They evolve speed the way Tetramands evolved strength, and the planet that produced them reflects the priority. Kineselerans are a species from the planet Kinet, whose biology is optimized for velocity at every level of their physiology. XLR8, Ben's Kineceleran transformation, moves on wheel-like feet that reduce ground friction to near zero, and his aerodynamic body, from the pointed visor on his helmet to the stabilizing tail that extends behind him, is shaped by evolution to minimize drag at speeds that exceed 500 miles per hour. Kinet is a planet racked by constant storms, a world where the weather changes in seconds and survival requires the ability to outrun environmental hazards that move faster than sound. The Kineselerans did not evolve speed for predation or for hunting. They evolved speed for survival, the ability to flee from storms, from floods, from atmospheric conditions so violent that a species that could not outrun them would be extinct within a generation. Every biological feature of the Kineseleran body is an engineering solution to the problem of moving fast enough to survive a planet that is constantly trying to kill its inhabitants through weather. Ectonurite. Their consciousness is encoded in every strand of their DNA, and the Omnitrix could not contain what it copied. Ectonurites are a spectral species from Anurphaedos whose biology defies every conventional definition of life. They are ghosts, not metaphorically, but functionally, beings who can phase through solid matter, become invisible, fly, possess living organisms by entering their bodies and overriding their motor functions, and exist independently of a physical form. Ghost Freak, Ben's Ectonurite transformation, is the only alien in the Omnitrix whose DNA sample retained the consciousness of the individual it was taken from. Zizaskayer, the Ectonurite, High Ectolord, whose genetic material was cataloged, survived inside the Omnitrix as a sentient presence within the stored DNA, gradually influencing Ben's behavior when he transformed and eventually breaking free to manifest as an independent villain. The Ectonurate biology is the franchise's most disturbing because it means consciousness is not centralized in a brain. It is distributed across the entire genetic code, which means every cell of an Ectonurite contains the complete personality of the organism it belongs to. You cannot sample an Ectonurite without sampling the person. You cannot store Ectonurite DNA without storing Ectonurite identity. And you cannot transform into an Ectonurite without wearing someone else's mind inside your own body. Osmosian. They absorb energy, matter, and DNA, and the absorption always costs more than it gives. Osmosians are a subspecies of humans from the planet Osmos 5, whose defining biological trait is the ability to absorb and channel external energy, physical matter, or genetic material through physical contact. Kevin Levin, the franchise's most prominent Osmosian, demonstrates all three applications across his appearances. He absorbs electricity and redirects it as offensive blasts. He absorbs solid materials like metal, stone, or wood, and coats his body in a shell of the absorbed substance. And he absorbs alien DNA from the Omnitrix, copying transformations into his own body at the cost of his physical stability and, in extreme cases, his sanity. The Osmosian absorption power carries a psychological toll that the franchise treats as a species-level vulnerability. Extended absorption of energy destabilizes the Osmosian's mental state, producing aggression, paranoia, and eventually psychosis. Kevin's father, Devin Levin, and Kevin himself both demonstrate this pattern, their absorption abilities providing power that their biology cannot sustain without degrading the mind that directs it. The Osmosians are the franchise's most cautionary species because their power is inherently self-destructive. Every use of the ability brings them closer to a threshold beyond which the power consumes the person wielding it. Anodite. They are pure energy wearing a body like a costume, and the costume is optional. Anodites are beings of living mana, the fundamental energy of the universe in the Ben 10 cosmology, whose natural form is a luminous, free-floating entity with no fixed physical shape. They can assume humanoid bodies, and many do when interacting with physical species, but the body is a construction rather than a biology, a shell maintained through will rather than through organic processes. Verdona, Ben and Gwen's paternal grandmother, is an Anodite whose human appearance was a disguise maintained for decades while she lived on Earth as Max Tennyson's wife. When she revealed her true form, the energy being beneath the human shell was so powerful that it warped the space around her body. Gwen Tennyson inherited Anodite abilities through Verdona's genetic lineage, and her magic throughout the franchise is recontextualized as mana manipulation rather than true sorcery, an innate ability to shape the fundamental energy of the universe through the same mechanisms that Anodites use in their natural state. The Anodites are the franchise's most overpowered species because their abilities have no clear ceiling. A fully realized Anodite can manipulate mana at planetary scales, and the only reason Gwen does not operate at that level is that she has not yet abandoned her physical body to embrace her full Anodite potential. Vaxasaurian. They are the franchise's dinosaurs, and their biology solves the one problem that every strongman alien faces. Vaxasaurians are a species from the planet Terradino whose most distinctive trait is variable size. Humongousaur, Ben's Vaxasaurian transformation, can grow from 12 feet tall to 60 feet tall at will, with strength, durability, and mass scaling proportionally. The growth is not an inflation. It is a biological restructuring, the Vaxasaurian's cellular structure producing additional tissue in real time to accommodate the increased frame, which means a 60-foot Humongousaur is not a 12-foot creature stretched to 5 times its size. It is a 12-foot creature that has generated 5 times its original body mass and is now 5 times as strong, 5 times as durable, and 5 times as heavy as it was seconds ago. Terradino is a planet of enormous predators whose ecosystem selected for size as the dominant survival strategy, and the Vaxasaurians' ability to grow on demand is the evolutionary apex of that selection pressure. Tukustar. They are born in cosmic storms, and nothing about that sentence is a metaphor. Tukustars are the species behind Way Big, the largest alien in the Omnitrix, and their origin is the franchise's most cosmically strange piece of biology. Tukustars are not born on planets. They are generated by cosmic storms, massive interstellar energy events that produce fully formed Tukustar beings the way terrestrial lightning produces ozone, a byproduct of an energetic process that has nothing to do with biology in any conventional sense. A Tukustar is born at approximately 120 feet tall, fully conscious, fully capable, and with no childhood, no adolescence, and no developmental period between creation and functionality. They simply exist, manifested from cosmic energy into a body whose scale exceeds anything the franchise's planetary species can match. Way Big's cosmic ray, fired from crossed arms in a configuration that channels energy through the fin on his head, is powerful enough to damage starships, and his physical strength at full size allows him to treat most enemies the way a human treats an insect. The Tukustars are the franchise's most existentially strange species because they have no homeworld, they have no evolutionary history, they have no ancestors. They are weather, sentient weather. Celestialsapien. They are omnipotent, and the omnipotence is useless. Celestialsapiens are the species behind Alien X, and they are the most powerful beings in the Ben 10 universe by a margin so vast that comparison with any other species is functionally meaningless. A Celestialsapien can alter reality. It can rewrite the laws of physics. It can create and destroy universes. It can reshape the fabric of existence on any scale, at any speed, with no limitation except one. A Celestialsapien cannot do anything until all 3 of its internal personalities agree. Serena, the voice of love, Bellicus, the voice of rage, and the host, who serves as the tiebreaker. Serena and Bellicus have been arguing for eternity, literally, since before the universe existed. They disagree on everything, and their disagreement paralyzes the Celestialsapien's body, leaving the most powerful being in the franchise floating motionless in the void, while 2 voices scream at each other inside its head. The Celestialsapien homeworld, the forge of creation, exists outside the universe in a dimension accessible only through specific means, and the Celestialsapiens who inhabit it drift in cosmic space like stars. Their bodies black silhouettes filled with galaxies, each one containing the power to unmake reality, and each one frozen by the inability to agree on what reality should be. The Celestialsapiens are the franchise's final statement on power. Unlimited ability means nothing without unified will. And the species whose power has no ceiling is the species whose functionality has no floor. And that is every major alien species the Omnitrix has cataloged across 4 series and 20 years of franchise history. The pattern underneath all of them is specialization. Every species evolved to solve one problem. The Galvan solved intelligence. The Pyronites solved heat. The Kineselerans solved speed. The Tetramands solved strength. The Ectonurites solved death. The Celestialsapiens solved everything and then could not agree on what to do about it. The Omnitrix collects these solutions. It stores them. And it gives a 10-year-old boy from Bellwood access to every evolutionary answer the universe has ever produced, one transformation at a time. Asmuth built the Omnitrix to promote understanding between species. Ben uses it to punch things. And somewhere between the intention and the application, the franchise found its thesis. The universe is full of species that are perfect at one thing. The Omnitrix is the only device that lets one person be perfect at all of them. And the person wearing it is the least perfect being in the database, which is exactly why the watch chose him.